Hey guys, welcome to another video on creating an advanced platformer in GameMaker Studio 2. In the previous video, we went over horizontal movement and collision checking, and in this video, we're going to go over vertical falling and collision checking. And the reason we're not doing a whole lot this video is the next video is we're going to go through our state machine, and it's going to be a little bit more lengthy. So there's a couple things I want to do before we get started, and the first thing is going into our update player movement script. And right here, we need to use else if. So we're doing if right key is being pressed and there's not a place meeting, then it'll execute this code. But if that isn't happening, only then we need to check for the left key down. This prevents us from being able to press both the right and the left key at the same time and using both of these, executing both of these codes. All right. And the next thing I want to do is comment up here. So do the double dash, and then we're going to do our horizontal input and motion handling with collision checks. And this will tell us what this entire section of code's about. And I like to section these off sometimes by using these horizontal dashes. And then I want to copy and paste this and then section off our next bit of code, which is going to be vertical application and collision checks. Okay. And I believe that's all I wanted to change here. Also, one other thing I added, which we will need later on, is we had up key down. I went under it and added, I'll retype it for you guys, up key pressed. And there is a difference between keyboard check and keyboard check pressed. So when you use keyboard check, let's say spacebar, you hit and hold spacebar for, let's say you're holding it for 30 steps. This is going to return true for all 30 of those steps, every single step. If you use keyboard checked pressed, it only recognizes the initial pressing of the key. So it's only going to return true on that first step. And as long as you're holding it, every other step after that is going to return false until you release the key and press it again. And this will be good for using it for jumping later on. So we're just setting a variable for this and call it jump key. Don't call it jump key. We're checking for the jump key being pressed. Another thing is delete the var before these variables. And the reason is using var, it sets up these variables for use in only this section of code. It kind of erases it from memory after that. It's a way of doing things if you want to keep the amount of memory you're using down, because it only saves these variables in memory until this piece of code is complete. When it exits this step event, or if we reference an outside script, we can't use these variables in it and if var is in front of them. So let's take away var before all of these variables. And now we're going to start doing our vertical application of movement. So the first thing we want to do is check if we have something below us. And if we do, we want to move then. Well, if something is below us, we're actually going to be in a state called player state.onGround. So really, we just need to check for that state. If that state is what we are in, then we will apply our vertical motion, our gravity. So let's do if vert state equals vertical state dot on ground. Then we want to apply our gravity. And how do we do that? We just add our gravity to our y speed, or our weight to our y speed. Y speed plus equal weight. Remember, we have that weight variable set up at the beginning right here, and our vert state ground is going to be on ground for now. And if vert state this is actually not equal to on ground. My logic was off there. So if we are not on the ground, then we want to apply our weight to our y speed. If we are on the ground, we don't want to apply any more motion. So we could do else if vertical state not equal on ground. No, we don't need to do else here. Y speed plus equal weight. And we have the same issue we had up here. Remember, right now, y speed could go to infinity because every step, the value of weight is being added onto it. So we need to cap this. And we already set a variable up for it. It's if y speed is less than max fall speed, then we want to add our weight to our y speed. Okay, and now we need to do the same thing here where we applied, see how we apply our x speed to our x, we need to apply our y speed to our y. So we do the same thing if not place meeting x y plus y speed O block parents, then we do y plus equal y speed. Or else, if there is a place meeting, we won't use while this time, but we will use move contact solid. So what move contact solid does is it takes in a direction to check for a collision. And in this case, we're going to find the direction by using point direction. And this is going to return a direction 0 through 360. And we're checking from a point to a point, and it gets the direction from a point to a point. So we're checking from our x and our y to our same x value, but the y either above or below us. And how do we find that? Well, we just do y plus our y speed. And that will be our y plus a negative y speed or a y plus a positive y speed. And now we have the direction. This will return a direction. In our case, since our x values are never different, it's either going to be a direction of 90 or a direction of 270. Because 90 is pointing up, 270 is pointing down. It's going to be one of those directions. And now we give it a max distance to check for, or a max distance to move us. And we can just use max fall speed because that's our max vertical speed that we can ever move. Our jetpack speed is less than our max fall speed. Move contact solid, and then we set our y speed equal to 0, just like we set up here. We set our x speed equal to 0. And let's make sure we got all this right. Vertical state on ground. Let's go to our test room. Take your player off the ground. You can put them up here maybe, if you have like a second ledge in your room. And then vertical state on ground. Let's hit play. And you see our player's not falling yet. And why is that? Well, this says if our vertical state is not equal to vertical state dot on ground, then we want to apply our weight. Well, if we go to our initialize player script, we'll see that our vertical state is set to vertical state on ground. So of course that piece of code would not execute. So let's change this to falling. And let's see what happens now. And there we go. Our player falls. We can't jump yet, of course, but you can walk him off the edge and he'll fall. Really simple. Let's run it one more time. Looks pretty smooth. All right, and that's going to be it for this video. Since we have a little bit more time though, I want to go ahead and comment some of these things. So we commented our vertical application and collision checks, our horizontal input and collision checks. Let's know what we're doing here. we are saving the states of keyboard checks for easier changing later. Changing of actions later. And let's go ahead and hit space, actions later, and easier readability. Okay. And let's go to our initialize player, and I want to notate some of these values. So anytime I shorthand a word, I like to put friction to apply against our player, a description of each of them that I shorthand. So acceleration, rate of player. And then I want to go to Y speed, and this is current value to apply to the x coordinate of the player. Copy and paste this right below, and current value to apply to the y coordinate of the player for that one. And that should be all we need from now. We can also notate here, actually above all these, let's notate where the global variables come from. So if we come back later, we aren't searching through our code looking for where these variables came from. Global keys found in our SCR initialize game controller. And that should be all we need for now. Let's make sure we have nothing else here. Awesome. And in the next video, we're going to be talking about our state machine using this vertical state, and it's going to be super cool. We're going to get our jetpacking done. We're going to get our jumping. Our movement's going to be complete in the next video. So thank you guys for watching, and be looking out for the next video. And I'll see you guys later. Thank you.